We're going to go through the answers to 17 through 26 together here. And through this, check to make sure your answer is right, but also make sure you're listening to get some more understanding of this. On number 17, what is the difference of n and 4? Key word is difference, so it would just be n minus 4. The next one, what is 8 more than x? So we just have to have x, and we just have to figure out what would be 8 more than that. More would be the key word there, so we would just have x plus 8 would be fine for that one. 19. The question is basically saying we've got x number of students. So however many students, it doesn't matter, but we know we're splitting them into teams of 8. And to split into groups means to divide. If you're ever splitting into groups, it just means to divide. So we could write this a couple different ways. We could write it with the traditional division symbol, or we could write it with the fraction looking thing over there with the division bar between the two. That just stands for x divided by 8. And then the last one, there's a lot of ways to write it, but if we have 12 groups and we've got p number of penguins in each group, we could just write it with the dot, we could write it with the regular sign, we could just put it right beside each other, which means multiplication, or we could use parentheses. It's almost like saying we've got 3 6th grade advisories and there's S students in each one. How many students do we have altogether? It would just be the 3 advisories times how many students are in each advisory. So that's all you would have to do for that one. All right, for number 21, it just talks about a couple of composers, and as you read through that problem, basically what you're seeing is that Brahms wrote 4 symphonies, so you know that for sure, and you also know that Beethoven has more than Brahms, and how many more? S more. Okay, we don't know what that is, but we can just keep it as S. So our answer for this one is going to be 4 plus S. 21, reading through it, I think is a little bit confusing, so we'll make sure we talk about it here. If an orange has 62 calories, it has C fewer calories than a nectarine. Okay, so that means that the nectarine has more calories than the orange. So what you would need to figure out is how much they're asking, how much does the nectarine have? So since it has more, we know we need to go up a number because it has more than the orange. So we would be doing 62 plus C for number 22. For number 23, it's one of those ones that ends up being subtraction that you really have to watch what order it's in for it to make sense here. It says that Quito, Ecuador, or at the temperature at the North Pole was 146 degrees cooler than Quito, Ecuador. Okay, so we know that the North Pole was cooler, Quito, Ecuador was warmer. So they're telling you that the temperature at Quito was T. Okay, we don't know what it is, but we know it's T. So we know that to get the North Pole's temperature, it's going to be less than at Quito, Ecuador, so the number would need to get smaller. So it would need to be whatever T is minus 146. So that would be your answer to 23. 424. Classic book, if you've ever read it before, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. If we have 20,000 leagues, and we want to figure out how many miles that is, okay? Now, they don't tell us how many leagues equals 1 mile, except for m. So whatever m is, that's how many leagues is in a mile, but we don't know what m stands for. So we would have to take the entire total, which would be 20,000. That's the total number of leagues. And then we would have to cut that into however many leagues equal a mile. And m is the thing that stands for how many leagues equal a mile, so we would just do 2,000 divided by m. 25. 25, they're talking about Lake Michigan and then another lake in Alaska. And again, this is one of those maybe tricky subtraction ones. If you read through it, Lake Michigan is clearly the bigger lake. We are looking for the total of the basically how much larger Lake Michigan is, okay? And we know the two lakes, okay? We know that Lake Michigan is 2,278, and we know that the other lake is M. And since M is smaller than 2,278, we would need to subtract them in this order, and this would be your answer for 25. The very last one, if we're at a picnic and there's P number of people, okay, and we've got one watermelon that weighs, excuse me, let me start that over. P stands for pounds, and there's 36 people. So if a watermelon weighs whatever pounds, they just want to know if we split that watermelon up equally, how much is each person going to get, or how many pounds is each person going to get. So we would take whatever the pounds of the watermelon is, which would be P, and we would split that into 36 pieces. So your answer would be B, P divided by 36.